This is Ms. Zarns.
And Miss Olson. And today we're going to talk about the coordinate plane and identifying and plotting points in a coordinate plane. So the first thing that we think we need to teach you and explain to you is some vocabulary words. And to help explain the vocabulary words, we're going to label the coordinate plane. So your x-axis, I talk about that being your kindergarten number line because it's the horizontal one. It's the one you learned about first. So this line right here is our x-axis, and it's so convenient because it's already labeled on our graph. And then this up here, this is our y-axis. The origin, that's the point in the middle of the graph where your x and y axis cross. So that's right there in the middle. And if you look down a few, an ordered pair, the ordered pair that would represent the origin is 0, 0. And when we write ordered pairs, we make sure that we put a comma in between the two numbers and that we put parentheses on either side. And then the first ordered pair, or the first number in the ordered pair is our x coordinate. I'm going to run out of room. And the second one is our y coordinate.
That's beautiful handwriting.
Oh, you're far too nice, Miss Zarns. Did I get all? Oh, quadrants. The quadrants are we label this first one, quadrant 1. When we label quadrants, we label them with Roman numerals. And since you're all so smart and brilliant, none of you would ever write them and with just like numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. But these represent, like quadrant 1 is when x and y coordinates are both positive. So these represent the 4 different parts that make up your coordinate plane. Ms. Zarns, anything I missed?
I think you got everything. Make sure when you're counting your quadrants, if you ever get stuck, they always go counterclockwise. So one's going to start in the top right corner, and then you count counterclockwise.
Okay, so let's go to the next page in our notes then.
So give the coordinates of the point. The scale on the graph is 1. So finding point B, should I outline it?
Yeah.
I'm struggling with this stylus here. Do you think that one's any better?
Might be.
Let's try it. Okay, so for our coordinate, we are going to have our 2 parentheses with our comma in the middle, splitting it up. Our x coordinate is 0, and your y coordinate is -1. Wow, we're going to work on that one. So then we have D. So again, we have our parentheses, and I know that you guys all write way better than I do. Our x coordinate is -1, 2, 3, 4. So -4. And then our y coordinate is a +1, 2, 3. Let me try that other stylus.
There you go.
We're struggling here. Okay. Third one we have is F. So the x coordinate for that one is a 1, 2, 3. The y coordinate is 0. It does not move up or down. H is in the third quadrant, and our x value is -1 to -3, and our y coordinate is -2.
Ms. Zarns, did you know that any of your points in your third quadrant are going to, x and y are both going to be negative values?
No way, really?
Every time.
How about K? How do I know what K is going to be then?
K is not in your third quadrant. I think that's in your second quadrant.
So it's in quadrant 2?
Yes.
So my x values are going to be negative, so -1. And my y value, or y coordinate, is going to be positive, so +1, 2.
Nice job.
How'd I do?
Looks good to me.
Did I miss anything?
I think your handwriting improved too.
I think it did.
How do I?
There we go.
Okay.
Make sure it's straight.
So the second example here says to plot the points in the coordinate plane. And then the letter that's in front of your ordered pair is what we're going to label it with. So kind of the opposite of what Ms. Zarns just did on example 1. So that first point, P, your x coordinate is 5 and your y coordinate is 5. So this one hopefully is going to be pretty hard for me to mess up. But whenever I start plotting points, I start on my kindergarten number line because that's what I learned first. So that's the one that goes horizontally or side to side. So I'm going to go over 5 and then I'm going to go up 5 and put a point there. And I'm going to label that P, and then just because I don't know how picky Ms. Zarns is, I'm going to label it with the ordered pair 5, 5.
Looks beautiful.
The second ordered pair that you have there is R, and that's X is -3 and Y is 0. So starting on my kindergarten number line, I'm going to go over -3, and then I don't actually go up. So that one's actually on my x-axis. Oh, and I'm going to label that again. So that's an R, -3, 0.
You're so good with that stylus.
Practice. Third point, we've got T, we've got an X, and our Y. Our X is -3. Okay, so going over -3, just like we did on that last point. And then I'm going to go down 4. So this is in my third quadrant. I'm going to label that T, -3, comma, -4, and then put those parentheses. Oh man, the last one has a decimal. Okay, so I'm going to go over -1.5, so I'm just going to do my best to kind of eyeball this and do halfway in between -2 and -1. And then I'm going to go up +4, put a point, and I'm going to label that V, and that's -1.5. We are so nice, we even gave them decimals. 4. So that's how you're going to label points. Make sure when you label points, you label it with your letter as well as the ordered pair. Oh man, this is going to take some practice.
Moving it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to zoom into this one because this is just like that last example I had done with you, except for they already give us the parentheses. So we're going to find point A, and we're going to count, okay, the x value is -1, -2. So that's our first number. Why isn't it writing? Ooh, look at that, 2.
That was good.
-2, and our y value is a +1. Then we're going to find B. So our x value is 4, and our y value is -.
To hit.
Okay. Is it going?
Yes.
Alrighty. So our y value for B is going to be -2. I gotta watch where I put my hand. Otherwise, I mess it all up. Okay, so C, the x coordinate is on your kindergarten line. Is that what you called it, Miss Olson?
That is what I call it.
So C, your x coordinate is -3, and yes, that's a negative, not a decimal. And then our y coordinate is -4. And the very last one, D, my x coordinate is 0, and my y coordinate is on the y-axis. So +5. How'd I do, Miss Olson?
Looks good. Oh no, I have to move it again. Okay. So the next example here, example 4, says plot the points in the coordinate plane and describe the location of the point. And when we say to describe the location of the point, we mean to say what quadrant it is in, or if it's on the X or Y axis, or if it's the origin. So looking at that first example there, or that first ordered pair, I've got A, and it is 1, -4. Oh, I might need to zoom in on this a little bit, huh? Oh, that's hard because you can't see the problems then. So I'm going to go over 1 and then down -4.
I don't know if that one's working.
Wait, is that the right point there? Yeah. So that's point A. And if I were to describe that quadrant, that is in quadrant 4. And like I said earlier, you want to label them with Roman numerals. So Q and then IV. B is -3. So start on your kindergarten number line, go to the left 3, and then I don't have to go anywhere because my Y value is 0. So I'm going to have B there. And I guess I should probably be labeling these like I was earlier. And if I were to try to describe that coordinate of B, it's not actually in a quadrant. It's actually on the x-axis. So to describe that location, I'm going to say x-axis.
Why don't you just write between quadrants 2 and 3?
Well, Ms. Zarns, because we don't do that. We're smarter than that.
Okay.
But yeah, a lot of times students want to write between quadrants 2 and 3. And I don't know if Ms. Zarns is nicer than I am, but I won't give you credit for that.
I won't either.
C, -4, -3. Okay, so that's going to be over here. This is getting, maybe I shouldn't have used blue. This quadrant, though, that's quadrant, if this is quadrant 1, this is quadrant 2, this down here is quadrant 3, and this is 4 over here. So this is in quadrant 3. And then our last point there, D, -2, 2. Oh, and that's getting a little messy. That's D right there. Since I labeled my graph already, I can see that is in quadrant 2.
What are you going to do if people label them with numbers and not Roman numerals?
It's going to depend on the mood I'm in, Miss Zarns. But I probably shouldn't give them credit for writing 1, 2, and 3. They should probably be in Roman numerals.
I agree. I won't give any credit. Let's make sure you remember that.
Okay. So now we're going to and final page there. Okay, Ms. Zarns, looking at example 5. This looks a lot like stuff we did already in chapter 1, doesn't it?
It is very similar to what we just did. We're going to graph the function with your given domain and then identify the range of the function. So you've already got a table set up for you. So if your function is y equals -x plus 2, your domain is given, so you have -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2, all put into your table there. We're going to plug in each of these. Ms. Olson, did you require them to write out each problem? So -2 plus 2? Okay.
Yes, I did.
Okay. So we are going to show all of our work right below here. So for each one we have y equals negative, and then x I have as -2.
Ooh, that's tricky already.
Plus 2. And we have a double negative here, so the opposite of -2 is a positive 2. Plus 2. So y equals 4. I don't think I write small enough for this example.
We'll be good.
You think so? So the next one we have is y equals negative, and x is -1, plus 2. So y equals positive 1 plus 2, and y equals 3. That was a horrible 3. Can I erase it? There we go. The third one we have is y equals a negative x is 2. And we have 2 left. Let's see, I can fit them right here. So y equals the opposite, and then x is a positive 1 plus 2. So really that becomes negative 1 plus 2. And if you guys all remember chapter 2, because I know you were so perfect, negative 1 plus 2 is going to be 1. And then the very last one, y equals negative x. I don't want that. X is 2 plus 2.
Ooh, those are opposites.
Perfect. And opposites cancel each other out. So y equals 0. Now when we have to graph these, in this table, we've already gotten our ordered pairs. So that first one is negative 2, 4. Your x value is negative 2, your y value is 4. So I'm going to move to the left twice and up 4. And, wow, I can't write, oh, like Miss Olson. I'm going to zoom in. That's as straight as it's going to get, Miss Olson. I tried. So we have negative 2, 4. The next one is negative 1, 3. Miss Olson, would you like me to label all of these points?
Might get a little cramped on this graph.
I agree. So the third one we have is 0, 2. And that was a struggle. Okay, and then the fourth one we have is 1, 1. And the very last one we have is a 2, and then I don't move anywhere because it's my y coordinate is 0. Oh, I forget this isn't notability. Okay, if you are given a domain, you are not going to connect these points. So we were given negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. So we're going to leave them as 5 ordered pairs. And when we identify the range, Ms. Olson, did you talk about Dixie and Roy?
I did.
So did I. But if we're identifying the range, so remember Roy and range. So I always have my students spell it out. Do you?
Yes.
So if we have Dixie and, and Roy. So range starts with R, so we're going to do all of our Y values. Next time I think we should maybe give more space. So we have range is 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0.
So you're just listing what the y values are.
There we go.
Awesome.
Make sure you box your ranges so that especially with all of your work, we can see your final answer.
Okay, we're coming to the end here. I think this is our last example for this first video here. And it's probably the hardest one, so Ms. Zarns will probably need your help here. But it says to graph the function y equals 2x plus 1, and then identify the range. So looking here at this the first thing that I need to do
I couldn't get rid of it either.
is make a table. So kind of like what Ms. Zarns did earlier, I'm just going to make my table go up and down. So maybe I have a little more room. But the part that's different about example 6 than example 5 is they didn't tell you what your x values were. And when that's the case, there are 5 numbers that Ms. Zarns and I are going to have you pick every single time. Does it sound right, Ms. Zarns? We're going to have you pick -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So it happens to be the same 5 that were in example 5. And then I'm going to take those and plug them into my equation y equals 2x plus 1. So I'm going to take 2 times negative 2 plus 1. Oh, I can see what you mean, how this is going to be hard to show all of our work here. So 2 times negative 2 is a negative 4 plus 1. So that's a negative 3. 2 times negative 1 plus 1. Ooh, negative 2 plus 1. Gosh darn, these negatives and positives. It's negative 1. Oh, but we're in luck. 0 is my favorite. 2 times 0 plus 1. Well, 2 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. Man. Running out of room. Let's see, can I just go over here a little bit? You can all hopefully write smaller in your note packets than we can on the iPad. But for our next point, 2 times 1 plus 1. Well, that's 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. And finally, the last point, 2 times 2 plus 1 is 4 plus 1, which is 5. So not necessarily my best work there, but hopefully you kind of got an idea and kind of get an idea of how much work we're expecting to see when you make your tables. Now I've got to plot all these points. So plotting the first ordered pair that I've got. So if I take this first point in my table, I can write that as the ordered pair negative 2, negative 3. And like Ms. Zarns said on the previous example, I'm not going to label every single one on my graph, otherwise it's going to get too crammed. But I'm going to go over negative 2 and down 3. I'm going to go over 1, down 1, 0, 1. I am starting to go a little faster on plotting these points because this is our 6th example. Hopefully you're starting to feel more comfortable. But do know your ordered pair, you always start with the X. So on this last one right here, we've got 2, 5. First go over 2 and then go up 5 and plot a point. Now, going back to what Ms. Zarns said, this problem, we were never given a domain. So I'm actually going to connect these with a straight line. And I don't know how straight of a line I'm going to be able to draw on an iPad here. But do know that when Ms. Zarns and I look for your straight lines that are connecting points, we expect them to be with a ruler. I think we both have rulers in our classroom that you can use. But notice there are arrows in both directions. Oh man, and there's still one more thing I have to do. I have to identify the range. So the range is my y values. So that's negative 3, negative 1, 1, 3, and 5. And then I'm going to box that just so you can see that because I know I've got work all over the place. But here is all of the work Ms. Zarns and I did for examples 5 and 6. If you need to go back and pause the video if we went too quickly or go back because you missed something, please feel free to do so. But Ms. Zarns, is there anything else I'm forgetting?
I think we covered it all. I think we're ready to start our practice.
Okay.